Meeting. Everybody please rise for a pledge of allegiance and then a moment of silence for military and public safety personnel past and present.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next up is a review of meetings, or minutes from past meetings, April or August 13th, 2020 meeting minutes.
I do not have any changes.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented, August 13th, 2020 minutes.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next up is the closed session statement from August 24th, 2020. Steve?
Okay, closed session announcement regarding Town Council closed session August 24th, 2020. Town Council met in closed session on Thursday, August 24th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. Town Hall, 101 Lawyers Row, to discuss personnel in accordance with the Maryland Open Meetings Act. Two members of the Town Council closed the session. The authority to close the session is found in Section 3-305 of the General Provisions article. Town Council discussed the following topics: personnel, discussed an employment agreement, actions on a motion by Mr. McCluskey and seconded by Mr. Morgan. The draft employment agreement for the Chief of Police position was approved as presented. The motion passed unanimously. The following members and staff were present: Jeffrey C. Morgan, President; Timothy McCluskey, Vice President; Steve Walls, Town Manager. Meeting adjourned 6:41 p.m.
Okay, next up is Citizens Forum. Do we have anything? No? Okay, next up, old business. First thing is Centreville Day.
All right, well, I am going to do a switch because I'm more excited about the in-person market.
Can you just make sure that mic is close to you?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get up because I have, well, actually, I'm going to do this. So this is the final list.
Carol, they can't, on the camera, they
You got to
can't
get
hear.
me a trailing mic.
Yeah.
Here.
I'll-
You can come over there. So that's the final list of Centreville businesses who received the county grant. So that was a nice thing that offsetting costs for reopening. There's almost 30 businesses there, so that's great. They don't have to repay that money, and it helped a lot of people, particularly with rent and things like that.
That's great.
That was good. There's lots of typos on there, but we can make out the names, I think. So the next thing is Carolyn. Carolyn's my Vanna. This is great. So we're going to talk about the in-person farmers market, which we're trying to give a little bit of attention to the farmers market. The online market's going well. There's half the shoppers want a live market and the other half don't. So we thought that we would do a one-off. So the idea is that we'll make it a little different and also have an opportunity to pilot what we were talking about as far as our restaurants having additional space outside for dining. So we picked a Sunday because we won't be in competition with any other markets. So therefore we may be able to recruit some of the vendors from other markets, because ironically most of our vendors didn't want to do a live market. As push comes to shove, a lot of them change their minds. So we will end up with about 7 farmers producers. We'll have eggs, chicken, meats, produce, and we have 4 or 5 of our current online vendors who will be joining us. So the pictures that I have for you, the one that you see that's a street shot, I think that is Chestertown. So what we're going to create is a separate dining area. And you see the DIY project of the cinder blocks and the rails. I'm proposing that we'll create this small dining area. There might be, say 4 or 5 tables, and we are most likely going to have at least 2 food trucks from our restaurants. This is only available, the food portion of it is only available to Centreville restaurants. And so that will be just a walk up, and they could sit in the dining area or, park it on the courthouse. The other portion of it is, right now on our online market, we're going to recreate that experience. So say Two Fellas Restaurant will offer a breakfast sandwich, or Oh Shucks at that point should be having their brunch again, but Sugar Doodles has crepes. So on an online portal would be entrees that people could order. What's really nice about this, as opposed to other events like Centreville, is we can manage this. So someone can go online and say, I'm a COVID risk person. I would like to go to we can do a separate seating for those that are at risk, so they can be amongst themselves, like the stores do sometimes where they have early hours. Mm-hmm. So they can go online and say, I'm going to order the crepes, and I want to go with that early seating, or I just want to pick it up. So they'll have that option, and then we can manage, because we can say, we're going to shut that down at this particular time, so we could manage how many people are there. And this will give us a really nice taste of what that could be if we have a separate dining area. And maybe the restaurants will be more embracive of it if they see it in action. And we have awesome volunteers helping you with that, and we're actually meeting on Sunday to spec out the street.
What day are you scheduling this?
It is Sunday, September 27th, and it's noon to 3. And that, it's manageable, because we can figure out how to make it work.
Okay. And that's going to be on Lawyers Row? We're going to essentially shut down Lawyers Row, is that right?
Yes, and we're actually going to prevent people from going behind the booths. So the entrances will be at the front, one street or the other, so they can't go in between, because that's the issue where people invade people's social distancing space. So we're going to just do it in the street. We can manage it much better that way.
I think it's great. Like, I love just the creative, figuring out new creative ways to offer things. So I think it's great.
I'm good with it as long as we make sure we have enough distances between the tables. That's
Yes.
the biggest thing.
So we're planning 10 feet between tables. The health department only says 6 feet. I think it needs to be 10.
Okay.
So we're going to spec that out on Sunday and just sort of make sure we have a good flow. And who knows, this maybe kind of dining concept, once we make that project, we could take that out for the Drink Maryland event,
Right.
Because it could be just like a portable thing that we add to things.
Yeah. Do you need anything from us, or you're good? You're good on that?
I am good.
Okay.
Yeah. This is kind of will run itself, so that will be very good. So the last time I talked to you about Centreville Day, we had talked about closing off Broadway, and that I was going to bring the volunteer group together. So we met as on the phone once, and then what ended up happening, which I thought was going to happen, is one pool of volunteers wanted to do a virtual event, and one pool of volunteers wanted to do a live event. So they both met individually and came up with plans, and the live group took what, we had about 43 booths or something. They, came up with a map, and it's less booths and it's more spaced out, and they were thinking about how they would do each of the features. So it's essentially what it was, it's just spread out. The virtual group looked at things like, maybe what we do is draw attention to different aspects of Centreville, like, maybe, and it's spread out over a month. So it's virtual, but, maybe during one portion of it, they're drawing attention to our businesses. And Maybe at another part, they're talking about stories about agriculture, and they're taking it from a different perspective. Interesting ideas, and I think, they both could work, but this is what I get back to. So with the stage 3 announcement that will go into effect tomorrow at 5, portion of it, the only portion that addresses live events is under movies and live performances. And it says, movies or live performances may open at 50% capacity or 100 people if indoors, and 250 people outdoors, whichever is less. That's the only mention of outdoor events. Of course, we have a free event that's not ticketed that, typically ebbs and flows during the portion of the day. And the thing that we'll talk about heavily at our next meeting, which is the 8th of both groups, is I would feel better if we could have, there's no absolutes, I know that, but how do we quantify who's on site? I mean, it's an open spot. It's not like we have a gated area. And the issue with face masks and keeping people from congregating. So I just don't know that, given all of those things, that can be managed. My volunteers are just the most awesome, creative people. But I think when push comes to shove with this, unless they're willing to be the enforcers and police folks, saying put that mask back on, and for me, I would look at what the school requirements, and I would say everyone 5 and up would have to wear a mask at all times unless they're eating or drinking. And then the congregation part, so it's like, here we have an event that naturally congregates people, but we don't want them to congregate now. So there's some issues with this. Interestingly enough, I just talked to the woman who does the idol contest, and she was saying, oh my God, because I said, you could do this virtually. And she said, I hadn't thought of it, but it might work better virtually because the kids won't get stage fright. So I think there's aspects of this that can be teased and taken out. But I think the natural tendency of folks who just love this event is to try to recreate it, but smaller. But I don't know the safety aspect of it could be retained. That's my concern.
So I would say, my opinion is that if ever there's a pass, it's this year, right? It's because of everything that's weird going on. I am encouraged by the governor going to stage 3. I think that's great. And I will also say that I have full faith in you and your volunteers. You've got a great team, as you just said. And I think that, 2 things you get right is planning and logistics. So
Yep.
I'll support whatever it is, however you end up going. But I do like the fact that you've got some caution, right? You're optimistic, but you've also got some caution. So I'm supportive of however you want to end up doing it.
I think that we can do something. Like, for instance, I reached out to the woman who got us free pumpkins last year, like 300 of them. And I said, so how's the pumpkin crop this year? And, I don't know which way it's going to go. But say we can get 300 pumpkins. We could do a giveaway to families, and they could take them home and decorate them, and then we could have a contest online or something.
That's great.
I think we'll be able to do something with families. I just don't know that it's going to look like we've done in the past.
We could have pumpkin trophies. I like giving out trophies.
I'm telling you, we can do something else that's special. I just don't know that we can recreate an event at this scale.
Understood.
Is there anything?
Well, I guess the only concern I have is if we try to scale it back a little bit, the same thing we were talking about with the Wine Fest, the Drink Maryland is, it's a good event and
Yep.
people enjoy coming to it. And if you do something to kind of water it down, I think some people will be like, well, I'm not going to come next year. So maybe, this
Yeah, I
year is
agree.
the year to make a pass and say, you know what, we're going to pass this year, but next year we're going to be in full force and hopefully everything will be good. So
And we don't want to have one where you say everybody 5 and over has to have masks, and then we've got an issue, right? We don't want to have
Right.
we don't want to have that.
Right.
Yeah.
I will bring that feedback back to the group, and my thinking is we have to make a decision within 2 weeks.
Okay.
But I appreciate all the hard work. I mean, it's good to see people come up with different ideas.
They're awesome. They're the most awesome volunteers. Good people. Thank you.
But right before you go, and this isn't necessarily you, but I've had some people come up to me and ask me about things like Halloween, right? So what's going to happen with Halloween if we're still going through this? And I don't know. I mean, I would defer to Steve, but I think that if we're following what the county guidelines are, we'll probably end up following what county's guidelines are on that. So I think as of now, it's probably still on unless it's not, so.
I have not heard anything, but
Okay.
we certainly will inquire.
All right, and we'll make announcements about that as well. And the other one was the Christmas parade, right? So that's a huge gathering, and I can't even imagine how we would ever social distance something like that. So I know that that's coming down the future. That's on your plate, but we'll figure that out when it comes.
Can
It
we,
would be nice if we had a huge property that we could do drive-through things. Do you know what I mean? That we could have enough, people could view things in a car or something, but we don't have that kind of space.
yeah, contact the county and see if they have any idea what they're looking at for Halloween,
Yes.
just to kind of get an idea so we can get something out there so people know what's going on.
Maybe we do a reverse parade. We have all the floats line up in one place, and then everybody drives by. All right.
Okay, next up,
You ride around the circle of the high school, because all
Exactly.
the floats are out there.
Yep.
we got additional voting options. I guess that's Carolyn?
So the last meeting, we talked about putting together some other options for citizens to be able to, it's more or less to be able to do their absentee ballots. So whether it's setting up at different spots throughout town, offering some different options on the day of the election. So the Board of Elections met a couple weeks ago and decided that they would like to do 2 weekend days in one spot, basically in front of Town Hall. So on Saturday, the 19th, would be in front of Town Hall. The time is probably going to be like a noon to 3. And then we are also going to do a Sunday. We are going to collaborate, be a vendor for Carol's in-person farmers market. So we will have a table set up in front of Town Hall for people who attend the event. Hopefully it'll be, if they're coming to vote, maybe they'll also attend the live market and vice versa. So those 2 options are open for citizens to be able to come in. They'll complete an absentee ballot application right there. They'll get their absentee, they'll be checked off on the register. They'll get their absentee ballot to complete, and we'll have the box there that they can put it in.
Okay.
So,
That's great.
and there will be no other, it will just be the day of the election, straight, regular, in-person voting at the Vincent Building.
So the absentee ballot options now are someone could contact you and get an absentee ballot and give it to you between now and September 28th, right?
An application, yes.
Application. When if they do get an application, what's the day they have to turn it in by? It's by Election Day.
By Election Day.
And that physically has-
No, the application has to be submitted to me by 4:30 on September 28th.
You have to receive it
I have to
completed back.
receive it by 4:30 on the 28th, and the absentee ballot has to be turned in by 7 p.m. on October 5th.
So the application has to be received by 4:30 on the 28th. They have another week until 7 p.m. to physically
Right.
deliver it to you.
And we
Is there an
have-
option for them to put it in the mail, or does it have to be actually physically
No,
delivered?
actually, the way that we've been doing it, we have mailed out probably about, I'm going to say 35. I'm probably getting ready to do about another 10 tomorrow.
Okay.
So they have submitted their application to me, and then I will turn around and put, each person will gets an envelope with their, the 2 envelopes, the ballot, and the instructions to do the absentee ballot. They can drop it back off at Town Hall if they want. They can mail it in to me. If they have absentee ballots and they want to come the day that we are out on the September 19th or September 27th and bring it and drop it in the box, if they're more comfortable doing that, they can do that too. So
It's great to have those options. And on the actual day of the voting, it's 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And as long as you're in line by 7 p.m., you'll get the vote.
correct.
Okay, good.
And we have, there's measures that we've taken with the sneeze guards and extra masks and hand sanitizer that we'll have all
And pens.
available that day.
And pens. Pens.
And pens. Everyone gets their own pen.
Nice.
So,
That's great. I'm glad that they're open to, some creative out-of-the-box thinking. That's good.
All right, next up is new business, and we have Resolution 10, 2020, a revision to the right-of-way permit fee.
Okay, the town's been approached by companies wanting to install fiber, and the staff and the town attorney have been working on the implementation of the right-of-way permit. The council had previously approved a fee schedule for small cell facilities in the right-of-ways. That issue had come up last year. We really have not had anybody come forward as far as implementing even the small cell facilities in the right-of-way since then. So we're really now starting the process of developing the form and application that's needed. Due to the fact that the council did take some action and created a fee schedule for small cell facilities in the right-of-way, staff was recommending to have fees, comparable to the small cell facilities to address, the fiber coming in. So what you have before you is a, resolution. Basically, the fees are the same for both. It's a $500 minimum fee, which includes up to 5 street crossings, with an additional $100 fee for each additional street crossing beyond 5, and it's set up very similar to the way the small cell was set up, where it was $500 minimum fee for a single upfront application that includes, up to 5 small cell facilities, and then there was the additional $100 for any facility beyond that. And there also was proposed previously to have a $270 minimum annual fee. And so we're proposing to do the same for any non-small cell facility.
Okay. And these are basically to help offset costs associated with staff time, lawyer time, admin time, all of that.
All of the above.
Okay. All right. You want a motion? You have any questions, Jeff?
Yes.
No?
I'll make a motion to approve Town Council Centreville Resolution 10.2020 as presented.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next up is correspondence.
So we do have a press release that I would like to read. If my glasses get fogged up, I'm going to pull my mask down here for just a second. For immediate release, Town of Centreville appoints new Chief of Police, September 2nd, 2020, Centreville, Maryland. The Town Council of Centreville announces the appointment of Joseph S. Sabori as the new Chief of the Centreville Police Department. The appointment was made after a diligent search that resulted in 77 interested applicants from outside of Maryland and within. We are very pleased to find an individual in our backyard with the level of experience and expertise that Joe Sabori can offer the town, said Jeff Morgan, President of the Town Council. Joe Sabori is a longtime resident of Centreville in Queen Anne's County. His family moved to Centreville in 1980, where he attended and graduated from Queen Anne's County High School in 1987. Joe went on to pursue a career in law enforcement by serving as an intelligence specialist in the United States Army, where he served on active duty from 1988 to 1992. With an honorable discharge, Joe applied for and was accepted to the Eastern Shore Criminal Justice Academy, where he served as Queen Anne's County Deputy Sheriff from 1993 to 1998. During this assignment, Joe was assigned to patrol and K-9. In 1998, Joe was accepted into the Maryland State Police Academy, where he graduated as the president of the 111th Maryland State Police Academy class. Over the next 20 years, Joe proudly served at the State Police Barracks across the Eastern Shore and Baltimore metro regions. Joe rose through the ranks of the Maryland State Police and retired as the Assistant Commander of the Maryland State Police Criminal Intelligence Section and Commander of the Eastern Shore Criminal Intelligence Center. During his tenure with the Maryland State Police, Joe received numerous awards and commendations for his service above and beyond the call of duty. A few of his certifications include firearms instructor, crash reconstructionist, and response to active assailant threat instructor for police and civilians. After retirement, Joe served as the Chief Management Analyst with the Queen Anne's County Sheriff's Office and most recently as the Manager of Special Police for the Administrative Office of the Courts for the Maryland Judiciary. Joe and his family enjoy spending time in their boat, fishing, and sports. Joe is an active community member, having served on the Corsica River Conservancy Board, the Northbrook Homeowners Association Board, Town of Centreville Personnel Review Board, Town of Centreville Board of Zoning Appeals, Queen Anne's County Animal Control Board, and is also a former council member for the town of Churchill. Joe is an active volunteer coach in Queen Anne's County, where he has coached youth sports in basketball, travel baseball, and soccer. Joe is excited for the opportunity to bring over 30 years of law enforcement experience, leadership, and management to the Centreville Police Department. Residents, community members, and business owners of the town of Centreville. We have every expectation that Chief Sabori will continue to expand upon the departmental improvements that have been initiated by his predecessors, said Tim McCluskey, Vice President of the Town Council. Centreville police officers have been keeping our streets safe for over 174 years, with the first officer sworn in on September 8, 1846. Today, with 13 sworn officers, Centreville is the only municipality in Queen Anne's County with a police force. The Town Council sends a special thank you to Acting Chief Lieutenant Conrad Meal for leading the Centreville Police Department. Lieutenant Meal's knowledge and experience with the department have been invaluable during this transition process. The Town Council anticipates Chief Sabori to assume his new position on September 15th. I think that's all the correspondence we have.
Okay. Next up is a report of department heads. Town manager.
Yes, was involved in the hiring process of the new chief of police. Been working on the developer agreement and spent some time on building permits and zoning matters. So that's the report.
Okay. Public Works. Kip? No. All right. Chief?
Thank you, gentlemen. You guys should have received the stats for the August stats for the Centreville Police Department. If you guys have any questions, I'll take them now. If you don't, just like to say thank you for your comments. Appreciate that, and give me the chance to serve as acting chief. I really do appreciate that. But I'm going to give the credit to the guys. We've got some great guys working for us, and they're out there every day hitting the bricks and doing what they need to do and getting the job done. So I'll give them kudos too. That's all I have to report.
Thanks for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, sir. Town clerk.
So I have a little presentation tonight. I just wanted to go over some of the grants that we have received lately as they relate to the Centreville Wharf, because we were just awarded 2 more grants for that. And then I just wanted to do a quick overview of the facade grants that we've had. So just to, hopefully I want to make sure everybody can still hear me, but just to show a quick picture of back in the summer of 2011, before we were just starting the construction of the wharf. This is what it looked like, and then a year later with the boardwalk and the slips starting. So just real quick, I wanted to go down the list of what we've received so far. We have received back in 2018 a $198,430 grant from Community Parks and Playgrounds to install the new playground that's down there, and that includes the poured-in-place surface that's there. As part of the playground grant, we also received a $24,287 grant from Game Time, which is the manufacturer of the playground. They were offering, I believe it was a half-off grant on some of the pieces. So total for the playground, we received $222,717. In 2018, we received $85,000 from Department of Natural Resources Waterway Improvement Fund to install water, electric, lighting, and fire hydrant at the Centreville Wharf slips. 2018, we also received $30,000 in grant funding, and that was for all the plantings. So that was for the critical area buffer that's down there at the park. So most recently, we just received notice that we were approved for another $87,000 waterway improvement fund, and that is to install what are those things called, Kip? No, on the boardwalk.
The tower?
The towers.
Tower.
Power towers. So each slip, each one of the slips, well, there'll be one, but two will come from it. They'll be able to connect electric and water from their slip to these towers. And there'll also be lights on top of those. So this $87,000 grant is for installing those 15 dock lights along the boardwalk, as well as new decking for the boardwalk and the finger piers.
And those dock lights, they're going to be low, right, from what I understand? Yeah, okay.
I got Kip's my backup here. We also just received word that we were approved for another grant through Community Parks and Playgrounds for $157,773, and that is to install 3 ADA accessible picnic shelters with water, electric, grills, picnic tables. And I have some pictures here of some of the areas. And then last week we submitted another grant, which we won't hear back for another year, in the amount of $199,000, and that is for a band shell, so a large pavilion down there, as well as complete the parking lot, install lights, sidewalk. The sidewalk would be from the parking lot and would go around the property, so access to the picnic pavilions and the band shell. And then lights would also be in the parking lot and around by the sidewalk.
So these are all things that have gone into or that were approved in kind of the master park plan. I think that was 2016 when we finally approved
yes.
that. And that was based on the second WRF committee and the grant that we had received for planning, right? I just think that's fantastic. $558,000 just since 2018, plus the potential for 200 more. I remember a couple of cycles ago, we were debating whether we should actually even put the electric in or the water in. Like, well, why should we even do it if we don't have it all? So this just shows great, like, it's baby steps, right? And you got to do a little bit and you get a little bit more. And I just, hats off to the staff that has done this, and you've done a great job. And, you know, even before that, we've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in grants as well. So absolutely fantastic.
So I just wanted to show a couple of pictures. So this is the playground that was installed, completed last year. Yeah, completed last year. The next picture is the new hydrant that was part of the Waterway Improvement Fund and the electric that was run. Of course, I don't have pictures of actual lines going underneath the boardwalk, but these are the buffer plantings that were installed as part of the Chesapeake Bay Trust Fund. And this is a future site for the picnic pavilions. Off to the right-hand side, or left-hand side, I'm sorry. And then further straight out would be where the band shell would be proposed. And then, of course, on the right side there is the parking lot that would be paved, marked. So, real quick, the 2013 is the first year we received a facade improvement grant. We applied for it through Community Legacy, Department of Housing and Community Development. So the first year we received a $50,000 grant, and there were 7 properties in Centreville in our downtown that received. It was anywhere from a couple $100 to $10,000 they received. That year, our max was $10,000, and we required them to match. So we had a rough time that first year. It took us about 2 years to get through that $50,000. So in 2017, we applied again. We received another $50,000. We changed the specifications. $15,000 was the max. We didn't require a match. So we had five properties that received funds for the facade improvement. And the following year, again, that year was a little slow. Even though we had a lot of people interested, it was a little slow getting projects started. So in 2019, we applied again. We asked for another 50, which seems to be almost around their max that they'll do for a facade. We received 30,000. So you can see there's three businesses that received it that year. And then last year, we made a plea that said which I did. I had a waiting list, basically, of businesses who were interested in participating in the program. So we received 75,000 this past year. So we have three properties right now who are working on projects. We have a fourth one who is starting, and we'll see where that goes. So, that was this past year. And then, for facade, we've received a total of $205,000, and 18 properties have been renovated, so.
So since 2013, $205,000. I mean, this to me is one of those, there's always a question like, what is economic development and how can you do economic development? And this is one of those kind of public-private partnerships, right? We're kind of the facilitator or the go-between. The money's coming from the state, and it's going to individual property owners to improve the facade of their property, which makes our downtown look that much better. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is great, right? 18 properties. It looks fantastic. Oh, I'm so pleased.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of the facade program, and they've gotten a little stricter. So this past run with our applications have been a little more intense than we have in the past. But we're working through them, and I'm the go-between with Maryland Historical Trust and the property owners, and it can be a little frustrating, but we're getting there.
Great.
So.
Thank you so much. That's fantastic. Do you have another grant in, or you have to wait until everything gets paid
There
out?
was not a grant that was for facade that was announced for this year.
Okay.
So
Maybe things are tighter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for all the hard work and everybody that's worked on it. I think it's important because once you get the grants and you show what you're doing with them, I think they're more apt to give you more than if it just sits and not being used. So,
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next round of citizens forum, which I don't think we have anything for that. We have council roundtable.
Again, I just wanted to congratulate our new police chief, wanted to thank Conrad and for the work that he's done and all the candidates that applied. I mean, we had 77 candidates. We did a lot of interviews. There was a lot of great people that had come in. So thanks to everybody for that. I also just wanted to mention that it was mentioned in the paper last week that the Maryland Women's Museum has gone from Bloomfield and is going to be moving into the town of Centreville at one of the properties here. And I think one of the things that the new council is going to need to take up is there's going to need to be a text amendment to the zoning code to allow for museums. It's weird in our code. The code talks about parking for museums, but it doesn't say where museums could actually be. So that'll be something that hopefully the new council will be able to look at. That's everything I had.
All right, and I also wanted to congratulate Joe on the new position as police chief, and I wanted to thank Lieutenant Meal for taking care of things while we were working through the transition. Appreciate everything the police department does and everybody in the town that works for the town. I appreciate everything everybody does. So, just want to kind of reiterate some things that are on here. Like September 4th is the last day to register to vote for the town election. So, if you want to vote, make sure you register, and hopefully everybody will get out there, which is tomorrow, I guess, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
That's with the county. That's county registration, right? That's how we do it? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
if you
At the
haven't registered.
The Vincent Building.
Yep.
Vincent Building? Okay. Do you know Hour
They may
wise,
need to call because I don't know if they're actually doing in person. Yeah.
Okay. And then I think our next meeting is the 17th
Correct.
at 7 o'clock right here. So that's all I have. So I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.